Right. And now, as many as 14 dead, including several children, in Texas elementary school shooting. Yes. There's an active shooting, ongoing active shooting
Active shooter
happening
may or
in
may
Texas.
not be available in those settings. Getting qualified
Moving on
or
to
experienced
what's going on here in
to a
Robb
scene,
Elementary School.
This scene probably cries out to have the
Multiple
FBI's
people are
evidence
dead,
response.
including several children, after an active shooting incident at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. Law enforcement sources told ABC News. Multiple sources told ABC News the suspect is dead. Uvalde Memorial Hospital has confirmed to ABC News that 2 children died from presumed gunshot injuries in the incident. Additionally, 13 students were being treated in the hospital's emergency department in the wake of an incident, the hospital said. 2 patients were transferred to the San Antonio for treatment, while a third was pending transfer, the hospital said. A 45-year-old was also hospitalized after getting grazed by a bullet, the hospital said. University Health in San Antonio said it had 2 patients from the shooting incident, a child and an adult. The hospital said the adult, 66-year-old woman, is in critical condition. It did not have an update yet on the condition of the child. Uvalde Mayor Don McClellan did not confirm the casualties, but told ABC News in a text message that this is a very bad situation. He said the office is trying to contact parents before releasing any information. State officials were told as many as 14 students are feared dead, but we don't know. Only two have been confirmed thus far. But these are according to the preliminary reports provided to top state officials, as well as the shooter, who is thought to be 18 years old. This is unfolding in Uvalde, Texas. Here is Tony Gonzalez, who represents the district. I voted no on 2 gun control measures in the House today. I'm a proud supporter of the Second Amendment and will do everything I can to oppose gun grabs from the far left. The far left will never stop trying to take Americans' guns. I am proud to fight for the Second Amendment in Washington. The radical left wants to take away your guns, not on my watch. Proud to defend your Second Amendment. Awesome. Right. Of course. Ted Cruz hitting us with the prayers in record time. I mean, they're going to fucking say, don't make this political. And they're going to say thoughts and prayers. Heidi and I are fervently lifting up in prayer the children and families in the horrific shooting at Uvalde. We are in close contact with the local officials, but the precise details are still unfolding. Thank you to heroic law enforcement and first responders for acting so swiftly. Oh, I'm praying all right. According to CNN's Omar Jimenez, over a dozen are injured, 2 are dead after a shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. A spokesperson told from Uvalde Memorial Hospital told CNN the hospital received 13 children at the facility who are being treated for varying injuries. Suspect is in custody. Now it says the shooter killed 14 students. Update Texas Governor Greg Abbott now says the shooter killed 14 students and a teacher. The shooter is also dead, he believes, from responding officers. Here's the ABC News. We're tuning now into the ABC News live coverage of the
killing a teacher, and I guess we'll wait to see the condition of those students. But my God,
yeah, unimaginable. Thank you for that correction there on the name. Again, Salvador Ramos is the name that Governor Greg Abbott has ID'd.
Just another day in America, dude.
Again, 18-year-old Uvalde high school student there. We are going to work to wrap our heads around what is happening there in Uvalde, Texas, with that number and the amount of young life lost at this hour. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Bro, I love when people are like, man, this is so unimaginable. It's so unimaginable. Really? Is it unimaginable? I got family who texted in upstate New York this month. Has been fucking heavy for me. Is it really that unimaginable when you think about it? It's like the most imaginable thing. Sorry, I'm tweeting something. Meanwhile, Greg Abbott this morning. Sandy Hook was 9 years ago. This country will never do anything to put a stop to this without radical change in who holds power. Yes. In before they somehow make this about gun crime in Chicago. Yeah, no, that's coming. Get ready for that. All of that. I mean, we know what they're going to say, but Texas Governor Greg Abbott confirms that 14 children and one teacher were killed in the mass shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde today. Governor Abbott also says the gunman is dead. I mean, yeah, third world country with a Gucci belt. It's just straight up. It's just straight up how it is.
An 18-year-old male who resided in Uvalde. It's believed that he abandoned his vehicle and entered into. The shooter was Salvador Romas, an 18-year-old male who resided in Uvalde. It's believed that he abandoned his vehicle and entered into the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde with a handgun, and he may have also had a rifle, but that is not yet confirmed according to my most recent report. He shot and killed horrifically, incomprehensibly, 14 students and killed a teacher. Mr. Romas, the shooter, he himself is deceased and is believed that responding officers killed him. The shooter was Salvador Romas, an 18-year-old male who resided in Uvalde. It's believed that he abandoned his vehicle and entered into the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde with a handgun, and he may have also had a rifle.
Dude, I don't know what to say about this other than here it is. A secret tape made after Columbine shows the NRA's evolution on school shootings. Soon after the Columbine high school shooting in 1999, which was like one of the biggest, most famous ones out of these that are now commonplace, obviously, senior leaders of the National Rifle Association huddled on a conference call to consider canceling their annual convention, scheduled just days later and a few miles away. 13 people lay dead at a high school. Dude, I'm going to fucking like put every Turkish person in the chat that is like frantically and hysterically fucking coming in here to be like, dude, you have to cover Turkish news right now, on a rocket ship, okay? Gideceğim belanıza ha. Bilmiyorum Kılıçdaroğlu'nun ne yaptığını, Erdoğan'ın ne yaptığını. Şu anda Amerika'da 14 tane çocuk öldü Texas'ta. Hala gerizekalı kalıp burada. Abi hemen bakman lazım Kılıçdaroğlu. Ölecek mi amına koyayım bakmazsam şu anda? Ha? Ne olacak hikayeye? Hikaye bir yere mi gidecek gerizekalılar? Salak mısınız ya? "13 people lay dead at a high school in Colorado. More than 20 were injured. Images of students running from the school were looped on TV, and the NRA strategists on the call sounded shaken and panicked as they pondered their next step into what would become an era of routine and horrific mass school shootings." Hey, guess what happened, actually? The NRA realized that school shootings are actually really good for them. You want to know why? Because in the aftermath of school shootings, the Republicans will say thoughts and prayers and say, don't make this political. And the Democrats will say, well, it's time to do something about gun violence. And then they will never end up doing anything about it. But in that fucking panic, you will see, in that panic state, people go and purchase more weapons. This is a known secret at this point. Okay? This is a known secret that you know who sells guns? Democratic leadership and Democratic having a Democrat president. That's what makes guns. That's what fucking motivates people to go out and buy even more guns, because they think, oh man, Democrats are coming for our guns. And that fucking kind of attitude, that fear has been whipped around over and over again. The only time where gun sales actually go up under a Republican administration is when there is so much severe unrest that people actually turn around. Wait, hold on. People actually turn around and stockpile weapons like it happened during COVID. I mean, here, look at that. Greg Abbott. I'm embarrassed. Texas #2 in nation for new gun purchases behind California. Let's pick up the pace, Texans. This was all the way back in 2015. My mom's from Newtown, and I have family who work in the school system there. We were at Thanksgiving down the year Sandy Hook happened. The way Republicans and news media just fucking handwave all this shit is unthinkable and unpreventable. I'm fucking sick of it. Just fucked. It's just another fucking example of political apathy Dems have. I mean, yeah, still feel that way even now. This is like different times when shootings have happened. Think about that. Like Jordan, friend of the show, Jordan Ewell, replied on November 5th, 2017, in the aftermath of another shooting. And then someone else, climate crisis actor, replied to him on August 3rd, 2019, even now. And of course, the cycle will continue, as always. But given the shooter's background, from what we understand as a Hispanic person, I suspect that this is going to turn into illegal immigrants are responsible for this real quick.
To do that. And it really does boil down, as John Cohen said, you can certainly monitor social media the best you can, but that has its real limitations because of the number of people that are online. The key really is getting communities to tell you what's going on. I guarantee you there is information about this 18-year-old, whether it's at the high school or other kids that he associated with, or maybe even the teachers have picked up bits and pieces of information. But there's a thing called leakage where people spew out information that becomes very telling once you go back and look at a case. And they're going to be, attempting
Robb
to
Elementary
collect
is a
that.
public school located.
But
Is it Robb Elementary where the shooting happened?
We could sadly have this conversation every day. I don't even like saying that, but that's kind of where we are with firearms availability and the anger and rage that's going on in this country.
Here's the
really
overview of Robb Elementary.
When you get into subjects like immigration, minorities, people of color.
Here, let's take a look at the demographics of Robb Elementary. First and foremost, the first thing you should probably look to is this number right here. 3,335 out of the 4,406, 4,446 elementary schools. This school ranks 3,335th. The grades are 2 to 4. It's a public school. Total enrollment is 576. Okay. Here's the overview. Robb Elementary is a public school located in Uvalde, Texas, which is in a remote town setting. The student population of Robb Elementary is 576, and the school serves 2 to 4. At Robb Elementary, 29% of students scored at or above proficient level for math, and 25% scored at or above level for reading. 25%. Only a quarter of the fucking student population is scoring at or above a level of comprehensive reading and also proficient level for math. The school's minority student enrollment is 91%, and the student to ratio is 17-1, which is worse than that of the district. The student population is made up of 50% female students and 50 male students. The school enrolls 84% economically disadvantaged students. There are 34 equivalent full-time teachers and 1 full-time school counselor. That's the reason why it's ranked 3,335 out of 4,446.
I agree with John. John and I both worked at the Department of Homeland Security.
I'm dumb. I'm gonna look dumb, but fuck it. Why does the academic performance have to do with the school shooting? The reason why I'm bringing up the demographics of the school and the academic performance of the school, where it is literally one of the worst schools in reading proficiency ranking, is because funding. That's how racism works. Racism is not when someone says, hey, you know, fuck you, and then use a slur. Okay? This is a school that is underfunded, like many of the underfunded public schools, especially in black and brown neighborhoods. Okay? That's what this is.
Deploying that training widespread in other countries. There are other places where they're doing this much better than
this is a consequence of systemic racism.
Community awareness to scale. And then we need a safe referral mechanism for people to call if they feel uncomfortable calling law enforcement.
How do you think America could effectively help prevent guns from getting into the hands of troubled youth and troubled adults? I grew up in a rural town in Texas, so I grew up around guns in a positive light, but even now I'm noticing that guns are not as great as need for American people was taught me. I'm a baby leftist. Just trying to learn more. I mean, guns are fine. Like I have never shied away from openly admitting that I enjoy firing weapons. Okay, I do, but they're also created with the express purpose of ending life. Okay, ending organic matter life. That's what guns do. They have no other purpose other than shooting someone and killing them. So, understandably, there should be a level of responsibility that you need to demonstrate when purchasing something like this. Okay, that's it. Obviously, there needs to be significantly more significant rollbacks. But America refuses to do that because the gun manufacturing industry is incredibly powerful. Small arms sales are pretty important.
Taking ownership of this concept of prevention because it can't get run out of Washington, D.C. This is inherently about communities.
The death penalty should be applied in all states so that criminals are afraid. What?
Of making sure that their communities are.
Yeah, dude. As in Texas? Is that what you're saying? A Texas that doesn't have the death penalty? That's why criminals are not afraid here? Is that what you're saying? Are you familiar with the state of Texas?
You see certain signs and indicators in a loved one or in a colleague. Ask how they're doing and get them help if you think they're not doing okay. Getting them help may actually end up saving lives. And we have got to be having a more frank conversation about this. This can't be all on law enforcement. There's too much of it. There are too many people that are struggling, especially after COVID, especially after the polarized conversations we were having in this country. We need to be engaging with people in civil discourse and getting people help.
The NRA and gun makers have successfully made gun ownership into a major part of culture and people's personalities. Absolutely. This issue is pretty much unsolvable.
As this country tries to get its act together, and it takes time, in the meantime, our children are dying. Our elders are dying in grocery stores. Our children in the halls of schools. And here we have another mass shooting at a school with double-digit numbers.
That's right. And as Brad said, we will likely, based on the current threat environment, be having the same discussion within the next few weeks. It's, on the same weekend that we had the shooting in Buffalo, we had mass shootings in other cities in the country as well.
I'm curious to hear any possible defense of widespread gun ownership in a country where kids are literally dying what seems like every week to gun violence. It seems indefensible.
Communities across the country, as Elizabeth indicated, need to organize themselves. It's not so much was the person on the radar screen, the question we should be asking is the radar screen tuned the right way to pick up on an individual who may be in the community, who may be traveling down the path to violence? I think that there's a lot of work that can be done in that area, and whether it's an educator, a coworker, a student, a family member, or somebody who's seeing something online, we need to make sure people understand what are the warning signs. And then communities across the country have to take
the death
stock
toll
of
has risen
what
to
resources
16.
they have and what they can do to prevent an act of violence. I will say one other thing, and Brad said something that I totally agree with. We are an angry country, and in some cases, it's anger that's very individualized, and that can at times manifest itself in an individual using violence as a way to express that anger. But it's an anger. It's a flame of anger that's being fanned sometimes by our public discourse. And something that we could do immediately is to have our public figures, whether they be in government or in the media or in other parts of our society, work to reduce the temperature of the anger that's way too prevalent in our society, because our adversaries. They look at the societal fractures, whether it's on issues, as Brad said, on abortion.
Seems like they targeted a minority school. No, according to the details that are readily available immediately, and obviously it's a breaking news story, so you need to be very careful with your analysis right now. But the shooter himself was, I believe, Salvadoran. And so it's not like this wasn't like targeted to like kill Hispanic children or whatever. The shooter is probably from the community, and the suspicion originally is that it might be that the grandmother of the shooter was there, but I don't know, and I'm not going to do that right now. I'm not gonna. The only reason why I'm bringing that up is because. The only reason why I bring that up is so that you understand and you're not making like you're not launching ridiculous conspiracies. Not Salvadoran. His name is Salvador. Oh, I thought he was also Okay, his name is Salvador. Sorry. I thought they said he was. Maybe I'm wrong. I must have misunderstood. But I mean, he is Hispanic. The shooter is Hispanic. So that much is. Wait, what the fuck is going on? ABC News coverage is like going crazy. They already nuked his Insta, only had one selfie and some gun pics. CNN used over 3 minutes to list all cities and such events have happened. It took CNN anchors over 3 minutes to list all cities that have had mass shootings this year. It's only May. That's awesome. So far, there have been 201 mass shootings in the United States, and it's only May. Yeah, in 144 days that have passed by in 2021, there have been more than 200 mass shootings that have occurred in this country. The Republican talking points are going to be teachers need to be armed to prevent these shootings. Also, more anti-immigration laws and building the wall, just to let chat know what's going to happen on Twitter and YouTube. Oh yeah, the shooter is Hispanic. They're going to say that it's illegal immigrants, even if it doesn't matter what it is. They're going to say you need more guns, and they're going to try to do like a pilot program, like the one that they tried to launch in Florida, where they offer teachers subsidies for getting training on how to use a weapon, and try to make sure that like try to arm teachers, basically make schools like turn schools into an open carry or like allow people to concealed carry even. I mean, here this is Texas. Like Texas literally passed a fucking no license or training needed to carry a gun in Texas bill. They passed an open carry firearm bill this last year. Texas safeguards the Second Amendment. Today, constitutional carry goes into effect. Texans who legally own a gun are now allowed to carry it in public. No license or training is needed. Like, that's insanity, dude. The only country on the fucking planet where like our leaders are flexing that you can just buy a murder weapon without any sort of fucking the only country on the planet where the only country on the fucking planet where the governor is like, oh yeah, you can buy a murder weapon with ease without any kind of fucking training necessary. Isn't that nice?
But Shauna must make this very important point, because you talk about how Title 42 still remains in place, but we still see people coming across the border. It was only a year and a half ago when President Trump was still in office, and when President Trump was enforcing Title 42, people were not coming over the border.
That's so wild that he's saying this, because like Joe Biden's administration has arrested more people under Title 42 in this past year than fucking Donald Trump did. Like, that's not even, I mean, Title 42 is dog shit to begin with. It's still in place. His administration has fought back to preserve Title 42. A majority of Americans believe that Title 42 is good, unfortunately, and they are using that to fucking purge like literal lawful asylum seekers and stop them from claiming asylum and seeking asylum in this country without any sort of fucking legal process. It is completely inhumane and unjustifiable to do such a thing. And yet here you have this fucking monster talking about it like Joe Biden is not going hard enough on Title 42. It could not be further from the truth, but it doesn't even matter, because ultimately, just the only thing that matters is like what you can cut as propaganda from this. Don't believe your lying eyes, okay? Don't believe exactly what you're seeing in front of your fucking eyes. Believe the party line instead. Democrats love immigration, and they are bringing in a flood of migrants into this country, and Republicans hate immigration, and they want to stop the flood of migrants from coming into this country, when the truth is super far from what they are suggesting. That both Democrats and the Republican Party despise immigrants and do horrific things horrific, unjustifiable things to immigrants in this country. They just don't care. And that two-tiered labor system, or that two-tiered immigration system, is specifically created in that way so that they can justify having a never-ending supply of an underclass that they can abuse and exploit, and oftentimes use against the rest of the labor force to drive down wages. That's just how it works. Now, of course, if undocumented immigrants were treated as human beings, allowed to participate in society, allowed to also join the same unions, and if unions were able to easily form in this country, then all American and all undocumented or now documented immigrants and their wages would go up. That's the real problem. But we won't let that happen ever, because the current way that it works with respect to like immigration is that it's better to keep a certain group of undocumented migrants and use them and abuse them and cast them aside when they want back pay, or like they want their wages back, or they speak out against sexual harassment, like the case in the chicken factory, Purdue. You just call in ICE on your own fucking undocumented migrant labor force. You get you get hit with a fucking slap on the wrist, like a baby fine that is built into your profit margins to begin with, and then you immediately go back and cycle in undocumented immigrants again, immigrant workers again to your chicken factory. That's how it works. The reason why agriculture is so cheap in this country, aside from the government subsidies, is because we have a never-ending sea of undocumented migrants that we abuse and exploit, okay? In May 2002, the Secret Service published a report that examined 37 school shootings. They had the following findings. What? 20 years ago, among the 10 findings, mostly involving mental health, bullying, etc., is finding number 8. Most attackers had access to and had used weapons prior to the attack 20 years ago. Salvador Ramos heist der Tater photo? What? What is heist der Tater? you think people are actually doing this on a major level? This is crazy to propose. Wait, what? This channel is propaganda drive down wages? Do you think people are actually doing this on a major level? This is crazy to propose. Do you think the two-tiered immigration system that has relied on specifically Mexican and Latin American labor since the Bracero program was like codified into the and then safeguarded in the 60s by creating another two-tiered immigration and like migrant status is not built with the express purpose of capitalist profit margins in mind? You think it's just something else? You think people are just like purely racist? That's why they're doing it? It's not. Aviva Chomsky actually has written extensively on the matter, one of Noam Chomsky's daughters, if you want to understand it further. I forget what the name of her book was, but that was really good on the history of how immigration became illegal. Undocumented is the name of the book, How Immigration Became Illegal, where Dr. Aviva Chomsky, Noam Chomsky's daughter, talks openly about America's history and how they created this two-tiered immigration system. Starting off with, of course, the Bracero program. You know damn well that chatter didn't know a single thing you just mentioned. My parents have been in agriculture since they moved here. They would tell stories of how when they were at work, ICE would be called and everyone would run away and try and hide. Why are we talking about immigration? I don't know. I don't know how we like switched over to immigration here, but here.
With Salvador Roma, an 18-year-old male who resided in Uvalde. It's believed that he abandoned his vehicle and entered into the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde with a handgun, and he may have also had a rifle, but that has not yet been confirmed according to the most recent report. The governor there, Aaron, giving a few more details.
Part of the reason why we're talking about it is because the shooter is Hispanic, and I know that like in the coming days, this is going to turn very quickly away from like preventative measures that revolve around taking like gun safety courses or rolling back some of the deregulation around such matters in the state of Texas into, oh, it's Mexicans. It's just a Mexican person and they're violent and they're criminals, and that's why we need to stop that's why we need to stop the flow of immigrants into this country. So that's going to happen. I'm just letting you know. I'm precogging it. I'm pre-watching it, but that's literally what is going to happen. No, Abbott didn't say that with respect to like what is going on currently. He is going to say that though. They're all going to say that. They're going to say, here, I'll tell you a couple more things. They're going to say it's a hate crime when a white person does it, but it's like, but when a brown person does it, it's like, we can't say. Tucker Carlson's literally going to say, when a brown person shoots up a school, Democrats protect that brown person. When a white person shoots up a school, they say this is white supremacy. This is this is the fault of white supremacy. But when a brown person does this, the right can't even say that like all brown people are violent criminals.
And killed his grandmother. Authorities are now trying to go through his background to see what connection he may have had to that elementary school. They're also trying to run down social media and find any potential friends or acquaintances just to see if there were any accomplices or anyone else who may have had an inkling that this shooting was about to come, David.
All right, that is the major headline coming in right now. The suspect, the image of him just a short time ago made public. Again, an 18-year-old believed to be a member of that community and a student at the high school there. Governor Abbott, again, confirming that.
Yeah, that is the fastest mugshot I've ever seen on the news as well. That's wild how quickly they fucking slapped the mugshot on there. God damn, dude. The news is on it.
Now, sadly, the governor has confirmed those numbers along with just a few more details of what played out this afternoon. Let's listen to the governor now.
First, I want to tell you that what happened in Uvalde is a horrific tragedy that cannot be tolerated in the state of Texas. And there is swift action being taken by local law enforcement as well as the Texas Department of Public Safety. They obviously now know who the shooter was, and the shooter is no longer alive. Let me give you some details, and then I'll give you a summation about that. The shooter was Salvador Romas, an 18-year-old male who resided in Uvalde. It's believed that he abandoned his vehicle and entered into the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde with a handgun, and he may have also had a rifle, but that is not yet confirmed according to my most recent report. He shot and killed horrifically, incomprehensibly, 14 students and killed a teacher. Mr. Romas, the shooter, he himself is deceased and is believed that responding officers killed him. It appears that 2 responding officers were struck by rounds but have no serious injuries. The Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District Police Department is the investigating agency, and we will provide them and the city of Uvalde substantial investigative and patrol assistance. We're in the process of obtaining detailed background information on the subject, his motive, the types of weapons used, the legal authority to possess them, and conduct a comprehensive crime scene investigation and reconstruction, and identify and interview all witnesses and provide victim services and other support as needed. Victor Escalon is the Texas Department of Public Safety South Texas Regional Director. He is on the scene, and everything that can be done will be done. In addition to that, it is being reported that the subject shot his grandmother right before he went into the school. And I have no further information about the connection between those 2 shootings. And the subject is reported to be a student, to have been a student at Uvalde High School, and is a U.S. citizen. Bottom line is this, however, and that is, when parents drop their kids off at school, they have every expectation to know that they're going to be able to pick their child up when that school day ends. And there are families who are in mourning right now, and the state of Texas is in mourning with them for the reality that these parents are not going to be able to pick up their children. Our job is multifold. First, to make sure we address exactly what happened at this crime scene, and then second, to make sure we take that information and do everything that is necessary to ensure that crime scenes like this are not going to be repeated in the future, and that we're going to be able to ensure the safety and security of our schools.
You were listening to Texas's governor just a short time ago confirming those awful numbers playing out this afternoon in Uvalde, a small rural town in Texas. Fewer than 20,000 people live there. Those numbers: 14 children killed, a teacher shot and killed as well. You heard the governor there talk about the suspect's grandmother also prior to this shooting, though the governor said, I can't give you more information on how those shootings are linked, though presumably he killed his grandmother and then headed to the school, though we'll wait for authorities to confirm that when they do come before the cameras this afternoon. As you've been watching with us throughout our reporting this afternoon, the size of law enforcement, the presence on the scene continues to grow. Our Maria Villarreal.
Here's some fun stuff. This is from Rebecca Entralgo. Rebecca Entralgo Fernandez, the managing editor of Inequality.org. Greg Abbott is slated to speak at the NRA convention in Houston this Friday alongside Ted Cruz, John Cornyn, Dan Crenshaw, and Donald Trump. These are, some of the heaviest hitters of Texas politics, including Donald Trump, the heaviest hitter of the Republican Party. Just, this is NRA's event of the year, boys. So that's pretty cool. We know, I'm sure they'll have a great time with this. I'm sure that this is not going to be postponed or anything. I mean, come on, it's the biggest NRA event of the year. It's
towards the school. A couple of them stopped us. We spoke with one family who said they were looking for their 10-year-old niece. They had contacted the hospital. They had contacted the school. They had reached out to people in San Antonio as well because they've heard that that's where victims were taken, and they could not get any information. We connected them with some contacts that we have in San Antonio, and they are right now in touch with them. I got closer to the school, and I was stopped by a dad who asked if I knew how to get to the funeral home because he couldn't find his 10-year-old little girl.
Maria Villarreal. Go ahead.
Sorry, David. I just it's a really tough situation to be here, and to see this dad, who I know is stoic in most situations. The funeral home is a few blocks from where this school is. He did tell me as of right now he was.
Listen, boys, Sandy Hook was white kids, okay? When Americans showed that they were comfortable with like white kids being murdered, white elementary school children being murdered, it was a wrap. I hate to break it to you, and this is gonna sound really fucking sad, but this is a school that's 92% Hispanic, and the shooter is also Hispanic. They're gonna fucking turn this into an immigration conversation immediately. Republicans are gonna swap away the conversation away from like lack of funding, lack of adequate mental health treatment spending, or anything like that, which is something that they only talk about when it comes to, you know, white shooters, where they're like, oh, it's a mental health problem. Okay, fix mental health. Nope, we can't do that. Fuck you. Fuck off and die. They're going to use this as an opportunity to dunk on immigrants and say that immigrants are responsible for this.
Killed in this shooting, a teacher killed as well, and Governor Abbott adding to that word that the suspect, he said, shot and killed his grandmother right before the shooting at that school. I want to bring in Pierre Thomas, our Chief Justice correspondent in Washington. And Pierre, as I mentioned just a moment ago, law enforcement, the presence growing by the minute there on the scene. And I know federal authorities have been watching this since first word.
David, they have been confirming the information that the governor just recently spoke of. And David, I can tell you that there's growing concern that we are in the midst of a surge of these kinds of incidents. Just last week, as you and I were in Buffalo, an 18-year-old there accused of murdering all those black people. Now we have an 18-year-old in that community, believed to be a part of that community, killing so many young people and a teacher. Sources are, in fact, telling me about concern. They're trying to run down this information that he may have, in fact, killed his grandmother. They are doing a deep dive on social media posts by this young man to glean what he was thinking, what he was writing, what he was posting in recent days. This is a full court tilt right now to make sure no one else has knowledge. There are some additional people that they have some questions about. David.
Pierre Thomas tracking this in Washington. We are set to hear from authorities there on the ground in Uvalde. Their first time before the cameras addressing what's played out this afternoon. Let's listen.
Good afternoon. As she mentioned, I'm going to make a statement, and at this point we won't take any questions. We will give you a time when we'll be addressing the media soon. At approximately 11:32 a.m. this morning, there was a mass casualty incident at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. The school has children that are in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. I can confirm right now that we have several injuries, adults and students, and we do have some deaths. The suspect is deceased at this point. DPS is assisting with the investigation. And at this point, the investigation is leading to tell us that the suspect did act alone.
No, they did not take the shooter in alive. He shot at officers. That's the main difference here, okay? The white shooter in Buffalo did not shoot at police officers and was actually, quote-unquote, trying to kill himself, but he wasn't really. Whereas this dude shot at officers. So they killed him. I know that people want to say like, oh well, you know, when a brown person does this, like you fucking kill them or whatever. But from what I understand, cops were, shot at. Two cops were shot at. They didn't have like severe injuries and whatnot, but it doesn't matter. They were shot at. If you shoot at a cop in America, you're going to get killed. It doesn't really matter what your background is.
We greatly appreciate your understanding and patience with us. Please know at this time, we are only making a statement. We will be releasing more information.
The likelihood that you're going to be killed, even if you don't shoot at a cop, if you are a shooter as a black person, is significantly higher. Obviously, I don't want to talk about it yet. Hold on.
Authorities there on the ground beginning to offer more of what played out this afternoon, though they were very careful there not to actually give any numbers, though the governor has provided those numbers, at least what we know.
It's okay, you muted the update. Shut the fuck up here.
To tell us that the suspect did act alone during this heinous crime. Families are being notified, and we are providing services to them as the district should. As far as the rest of the district is concerned, safety measures were taken to make sure that we had a safe release for the rest of the district throughout our city of Uvalde. And we had numerous law enforcement officers and agencies that assisted with the safety release for those students. We do want to keep all their families in their prayers. I hope you do as well. And we also want to respect the privacy of the family. It is still being worked on. And again, we'll notify the parents and the families as soon as we have some news for them. Thank you so much.
We greatly appreciate your understanding and patience with us. Please know at this time, we are only making a statement. We will be releasing more information as the investigation continues. We appreciate your courtesy. At this time, it concludes our press conference. Thank you.
There you go. Are you happy?
Authorities there on the ground, but confirming the grandmother of the suspect was shot and killed before the shooting that played out at the school. Unclear exactly when or how that played out, but obviously the suspect being tied to that as well. Let's bring in our senior investigative reporter, Aaron Kotursky. Aaron, what more do we know about the suspect at this hour? I know the governor was very careful when talking about the shooting of the grandmother, but obviously
no, I don't, dude. I don't do that. Okay,
these two shootings as clearly linked to this lone suspect.
We don't know anything. We do not know anything about. What do you think about what Mark said about guns? Dude, are you fucking stupid? Is this like your immediate reaction is like, oh, let's talk about what Karl Marx said about fucking guns. Like, shut the fuck up, dude. Okay, shut the fuck up. Fuck Karl Marx. He can suck my cock, okay? And you can too, you fucking idiot.
Continued inside the elementary school where the governor said
some of you are so fucking brain broken. I mean, I guess it's like just the consequence of being American, where this is so normal. This is so normalized at this point that like you can literally move on immediately to like, well, 14 dead fucking children in an elementary school, okay? But like, what about Karl Marx's takes on fucking arming the proletariat, dude? Yeah, great, man. Thank you. Let's talk about that right now. Let's just move on to that already. Let's move on to that stage of the conversation.
Said that it's believed he acted alone, but David, they are scouring social media posts of his and running down any known accomplices to see if he may have given any hints about whether this was coming, why he may have done it. All of that remains under investigation. Still a very active scene.
Aaron Kotursky, stay with us here as we continue our coverage. I want to bring in Elizabeth Newman, an ABC News contributor, formerly with the Department of Homeland Security. And Elizabeth, when we were on the air about an hour ago together, you talked about the threat in this country and the warnings, quite frankly, from federal authorities that there could be more of this. And just look what's played out in the last week and a half here. 10 days ago, we were standing in Buffalo at the scene of that horrific shooting at the grocery store. 9 days ago, Laguna Woods,
this
California.
All happens with so much regularity. We know exactly what every side will say, what order they will say it, and what it will end with.
At the scene of a school shooting where we have now learned 14 children and a teacher have been killed.
That's right, and
yeah, I already told you exactly what the fuck they're gonna do.
All of the
2,000 to 3,000 people dead per day for like the last 2 years. Why wouldn't it be numb, to be honest? Yeah, I mean, I already told you what they're gonna say, what they're saying already.
That is
here. Let's look at a freak. You want to see a fucking freak? Here is Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's immediate response to the latest gun massacre of the elementary school children. He moved on from the thoughts and prayers to like, we need to defend the guns in this circumstance real fucking quick.
Today, we've had individuals already weighing in on the left wing, Mr. Paxton, talking about this being evidence of having to take away firearms from law-abiding citizens, as if that type of
this dickhead is like wearing his own fucking shirt. That's awesome.
Remedy would have somehow prevented this tragedy. When you hear the instantaneous politicization of an incident like this, what goes through your mind as the head attorney of the state of Texas?
Well, look, people that are shooting people, that are killing kids, they're not going to follow. They're not following murder laws. They're not going to follow gun laws. So
yeah, that's why no laws should actually exist. I'm very smart as the attorney general. I'm incredibly brilliant. Yeah, I mean, of course, people are going to still violate the rules. Okay, that shouldn't prevent you from trying to put existing rules in place to make it as difficult as possible. Like the idea that you should go YOLO on fucking no rules because people are going to violate it anyway is really fucking stupid. Also, ask them about abortion. People are going to have abortions anyway, right? Like, so why put fucking laws in place to stop people from having abortions, right? I mean, exactly. Just think about that. And abortion is something that's happening within your body, whereas being able to purchase a murder weapon is not exactly something that is happening within your body. It's not like a natural phenomena. So the idea that like these fucking dickheads can say this and then turn around and do everything they can to basically criminalize a natural process that occurs is pretty fucking clear cut where their opinions lie on negative and positive incentivization structures, and also their attitude about the violation of laws. They don't care. It's all about this idea that like they care about fucking laws. And people will violate it anyway is such a stupid one. It doesn't matter. It's about making it as hard as possible, dude. It's about making it as hard as possible. People are going to violate the rules anyway. That would never work for murder, right? You can't turn around and be like, well, people fucking murder. Murderers are going to do murders anyway. So why have a law around it? That's an insane fucking take. If I said that, you would be like, okay, you're a psycho. Do you want to do murders without any fucking legal recourse? Is that why? Is that why you're saying this? Sorry, people violate the fucking speed limits. We should literally not have speed limits. YOLO.
This idea that somehow if you ban guns from law-abiding citizens, somehow these people that kill people, they're going to follow the gun law, but they won't follow the murder laws. This is somewhat ridiculous, but it seems to be the argument that they
yeah,
make.
I gotta fucking run a 60-second ad break here, by the way. I apologize, but I forgot to run it. It's now 2:27, and I'm late, so I'm gonna run it right now. You already know the deal and the spiel. If you want uninterrupted coverage, you can subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. Or if you're lucky, you can get gifted a sub. But here's the 1-minute ad break now. Is he saying murder law shouldn't exist? Yeah, ask them. Ask a Republican. Do you think that, well, don't ask them if they think that, there should be no age of consent laws, because they will very quickly say, yeah, actually, there shouldn't be. I'm a libertarian, by the way. But, ask them how they feel about murder laws. Like, should people still murder regardless? So what's up?
If you ban guns from law-abiding citizens, somehow these people that kill people, they're going to follow the gun law, but they won't follow the murder laws. This is somewhat ridiculous.
They won't follow the murder law. You just defeated your argument. So should there be no law for murder? This guy's the attorney general, dude.
Ridiculous, but it seems to be the argument they.
What a fucking sick freak, dude.
They kill people from law-abiding citizens. Somehow these people that kill people, they're going to follow the gun law, but they won't follow the murder law.
How would you respond to someone saying, well, murder laws exist so we can punish murderers? Gun laws just punish law-abiding citizens? I don't think this is that way, by the way, but I have heard this, and I want to be prepared, I guess. Why? No, it doesn't. Laws change. Gun laws won't punish law-abiding citizens. You will quite literally be not abiding the law in that situation. How would you be a law-abiding citizen? Right now, you can make that argument for fucking having an automatic rifle. You know what I mean? And that would be an insane thing to say, right? Well, sorry, I should have a fucking automatic rifle, as a matter of fact. I should be able to use my automatic rifle whenever I want to. That's a law that's preventing me from doing so. I'm a law-abiding citizen. Okay, great. Who cares? Like, the fucking thing is that it's convenience, okay? It's a matter of convenience. Whenever people say this hurts law-abiding citizens, they're just talking about like it's not going to be as convenient for me to be able to buy my fucking 8th AR-15. Like that's it. The overwhelming majority of guns are still in the hands of like the psychotic collectors. Okay, the collectors that have fucking a shitload of weaponry in their arsenal. Okay. But that's it. It's literally about making it more convenient to be able to buy it. And then they use a constitutional interpretation to make it seem like these slave-owning weirdos who got fucking owned by smallpox and died at the age of like 25 knew exactly what the fuck was going to happen, and that like everyone should be able to have an AR-15 if they want to. And that's like one of the most fundamental values of America. When even our constitutional interpretation of the Second Amendment was not what it is currently. Like in 1985, the NRA used to be a hunting club. Okay, it was exclusively for hunting. The NRA originally was created by a New York Times journalist in the North because they recognized that people in the South knew how to shoot weapons better than they did. So they literally fucking started the NRA. They were like, maybe we should know how to shoot guns too. And then a Yankee, exactly. And basically what it turned into was simply a hunting club, okay? The NRA's current iteration and the subsequent misinterpretation of the Second Amendment is a relatively new phenomena in America at a time when mass shootings are incredibly fucking prominent. I wonder why. My personal speculation on the matter is that the weapons manufacturing industry became super successful in small arms manufacturing, and they wanted to sell a surplus of the weapons in the aftermath of America's like endless fucking imperialist endeavors overseas to American citizens. So they had to find a way to really pump up gun culture and gun ownership, a fundamental value of being an American. So they started selling it, and then when there were these pesky, hurdles against being able to sell whatever the fuck you want to American citizens, they started lobbying the government to change that. And they did change that. They changed it successfully. That is the materialist analysis of how like gun manufacturers operate. A lot of our gun laws are just poor tax on low-income gun owners. To be clear, I think we should have a licensing that you can recertify every few years, but our current accessory-focused laws don't stop shootings. Yeah, I know our gun laws currently don't do shit, but you can literally say that about automatic weapons. You could technically purchase an automatic weapon handling license for like, what, 15 grand? Or you can literally say that about a Beretta 50 cal. A Beretta 50 cal is $14,000, right? That's You're literally just stopping the poor from having a Beretta 50 cal. Why? Isn't that fucked up? I think poor people should be able to fucking shoot a Beretta 50 cal as well. Beretta, not Beretta. Sorry. Fucking shut up. Gun nerds, shut the fuck up. You guys are so fucking annoying. I mean, it's fucked up. It's fucked up, right? It's crazy that you're stopping the poor from having it. I need a 50 cal for hunting. Yeah, what are you hunting? Tanks? Who are you hunting? Tanks from a mile away? Is that who you're hunting? Anyway, my MAGA uncle is pretty much celebrating the fact that you can walk in and out of a store with a gun in like 15 to 20 minutes in Texas. Exactly. This is, what do I always say? In the absence of real fucking political movements and a real sense of community that we can feel, in the absence of having like any kind of political movement or political power that we can enforce upon the government, people seek a sense of community in our commodity consumption, okay? We are the number one consuming force on this planet. So we look for a shared purpose and we look for cultural signifiers in our consumption. That's why people lose their shit when they can't get a $5 jalapeno popper at Applebee's. And that's why people lose their shit when they can't buy their fucking little guns, all right? This is very much like a single issue for plenty of Americans. This is it. This is, you buy a gun, you're a gun guy, that's your entire life. You buy the fucking gun magazines, you're wearing gear that looks like gun gear, that shows everybody else, that signifies to the rest of the world that you are, this is you. You have reduced your entire identity to one singular purchase. And by the way, that purchase, according to the price points at the very least, is no fucking different than a Gucci belt or a Gucci bag, okay? So make no mistake. When people act like guns are somehow different than purchasing the latest fucking Gucci belt, do not misunderstand that. It is the exact fucking same, okay? Except the Gucci belt can't kill someone, whereas the gun can. And that's the only reason for a gun, okay? But it's made into somehow something else. It's like it's a beacon of masculinity. It's a figure to show everybody else that you're a big badass, okay? Are you sure about that? Yes, I am sure about that. I need it for CSGO. Exactly. And like, I say this as someone who enjoys shooting guns. Like, I'm not one of those people that's like, I've never shot a gun. I don't want to shoot a gun. I think guns are fucking icky and wrong or whatever. I shoot guns. I get it. It's like, it's a fun exercise, a fun activity to do with friends. Okay. But make no mistake, those things still murder, you know? It's ridiculous. No matter how much you normalize doing it in your day-to-day experience, like, you have to have some level of regulation around it, okay? It is fucking insane that people can use a piece of paper, point to it, and turn around and basically fucking state, that, like, hey, there should be no rules around this because the piece of paper and my current interpretation of said piece of paper is that there should be no rules around it. That's the reason why you can have driver's licenses, but you can't have any kind of gun license pushed for at the federal level. Do you want to know why? Because the Constitution doesn't state that every American has a God-given right to own a fucking vehicle. That's unironically it. That's the point. That is the modern contemporary interpretation, okay? That is the modern current interpretation of why we have no fucking gun laws, why we can't have any gun laws whatsoever. Do you think this is a turning point? Fuck no, dude. Like I said, Sandy Hook was white kids. White children were murdered, okay, in a mass shooting in an elementary school. And Americans said, nah, it's fine. Thoughts in Paris, baby. You think America is going to turn around and be like, wow, a bunch of Hispanic kids were murdered? Now it's time to really change it. No, dude, another mass shooting happened at the hands of a white supremacist psycho literally 10 days ago, dude. When a white supremacist psychopath drove over to a town that he knew had the highest density of black people in Buffalo, and every dumbass motherfucker looked at that and went, oh man, that's so crazy, and then moved back on to the fucking Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial or whatever the fuck, okay? He live streamed it too, yes. No, it's not changing. None of this shit, no, it's not changing at all. It's never going to change. It's a fucking privilege, just like owning a gun. You don't instantly get a fucking gun when you pop out of your mother's vagina. I mean, I don't know. Not if Texas has anything to do with it. I think a lot of leftist gun owners agree with you on this. Even folks in my SRE chapter agree that gun laws here are feckless. It's insane. It's insane. It's insane that, like, you know, there is so much more that you need to do. This tweet, check the date. What? In retrospect, Sandy Hook marked the end of U.S. gun control debate. Once America decided killing children was bearable, it was over. Yeah, but you need to understand, this is not I mean, I've said this a million times over. It's a very common fucking attitude from people. And you need to realize that, like, those were white children, dude. Remember, those were white children, okay? We were comfortable with white babies getting murdered. It's done. After that, it's over. And, oh, there's another NRA convention that's slated to occur, for the record. Greg Abbott is slated to speak at the NRA convention in Houston this Friday alongside Ted Cruz, John Cornyn, Dan Crenshaw, and Donald Trump. The NRA's 1999 convention was held in Denver 10 days after the Columbine shooting, just miles away, which we covered earlier in the day. 13 people had laid dead at a high school in Colorado. Columbine shooting. More than 20 were injured. Images of students running from the school were looped on TV. This was one of the first instances. This was a game changer for America. And it was a game-changing moment for the NRA. The NRA strategists on the call sounded shaken and panicked as they pondered their next step. Oh, what the fuck? Please. Okay. Sorry, I just got to grab something. And in those private moments, the NRA considered a strikingly more sympathetic posture towards mass shooting than the uncompromising stance it has taken publicly in the decades since, even considering a $1 million fund to care for the victims. Then they realized mass shootings are really good for their business, which it is, by the way. Remember, make no mistake, mass shootings are really good for the gun manufacturing industry because in the aftermath of the mass shooting, they can pump up the fucking fear-mongering and act like, Democrats are going to take your guns away, and then they sell more guns. They sell more guns after the mass shootings, okay? People make more money after mass shootings. Profits rise up. Pretty good for your channel also. Yeah, exactly. Because, I cover the news day in and day out, regardless. And you are the dumbass that only comes in here just to say this when a fucking shooting happens. Can you imagine being the dumbass who creates an account and explicitly comes in here the only time when a mass shooting happens just to say this? This is your fucking take on this matter? I'm covering the news regardless of whether you're in here or not. You are the fucking idiot that comes in here exclusively to say that in the aftermath of a fucking, breaking news story. That says significantly more about you than anyone else. You could say that to any number of streamers that normally never cover the fucking news. I cover the news every fucking day. That's my job. That's what I do. And offer analysis on said news stories every fucking day in and day out. Why did you come in here right now to say that? Fucking piece of shit. Look at the ammo stock price when Biden got inaugurated. The stock price has almost doubled since January 2021. Yeah, of course it did. NPR obtained more than 2.5 hours of the recordings of the private meetings after the Columbine shooting, by the way. Let me see if there is anything that... Can we just... I want to watch, I want to watch this. He's mad you have viewers because he disagrees. It's just so fucking stupid. I hate it when people do that. It's like, dude, you're the fucking idiot that doesn't watch on other days. What do you think? I'm like a fucking... Do you think my job is like playing League of Legends otherwise, but then only when a fucking breaking news story is happening that I cover the news? It's your fault that you don't care about it on other days, okay? Like I'm taking advantage of this. You only exist when they watch you. You don't get it? Yeah, exactly. It's so fucking stupid. And yeah, I don't even have like an abnormally higher view count right now, you fucking dingus. No one gives a shit. People don't even give a shit about this. Anyway. Biden will address the nation about the school shooting in Uvalde, Texas this evening at 8:15 from the White House following his return from Asia. Okay, let's before we get into that and before we talk about the Ken Paxton thing, I want to see okay, here. At stake. Oh, that's fucking bullshit. Okay, covered this. We covered Ted Cruz. I want to show you the attitude from
about the families in that community. Our coverage will continue on ABC News.
Oh, this one is like later than okay. I wanna show you guys the NR. the NRA attitude in the aftermath of Columbine. Okay? No hot takes, please. From Matt Walsh. Really not in the mood to hear hot takes about the mass slaughter of elementary school children. Save that shit. Please try to at least pretend you have a soul. This guy literally is a theocratic fascist, dude. How fucking sick. NRA called members hillbillies and fruitcakes.
Days after the Columbine high school shooting, talking about canceling their annual convention scheduled days later nearby in Denver.
Remember, when people fucking say, hey, will the NRA actually continue on with their Texas, with their designated Texas convention? Remember that they didn't fucking cancel it after the Columbine shooting. And that was like a big deal back then because it wasn't something that was in our, colloquial, cultural understanding of like something that happens all the time. It wasn't like as commonplace. Now we know, it's such a fucking meme that like British people make fun of us when they say at least our schools are not fucking shooting galleries. You know what I mean? That was like the first time. It didn't happen like once a week. and Oh, here it is. Code of Vets. There you go. I fucking called it. Pray for the victims, families, and community. The killer, Salvador Ramos, was 18 years old. Did he cross the border illegally? Look at that. It's coming in already. They're already using this to say it's like fucking, a problem with undocumented immigrants. Oh, my fucking Lord. Just wait. It's going to get so much fucking worse, okay? Just fucking wait.
Tim Mack, who obtained the tapes of the private meetings. Columbine was at the time one of the worst mass shootings
illegal border crossing
site with 12 students and 1 teacher killed. Here is the NRA's top lobbyist at the time addressing the dilemma that the organization faced.
At the same period where they're going to be burying these children, we're going to be having media within 10 miles of our convention center, the world's media, trying to run through the exhibit hall looking at kids fondling firearms, which is going to be a horrible, horrible, horrible juxtaposition.
The NRA leaders can also be heard disparaging some of their own members, the hardline gun activists.
The other problem is holding a member meeting without an exhibit hall. The people you are most likely to get in that member meeting without an exhibit hall are the nuts. That's right. That made that point earlier. I agree. The fruitcakes are going to show up.
You're going to have the wackos with all kinds of crazy resolutions, with all kinds of dressing like a bunch of hillbillies and idiots.
CNN reached out to the NRA and the people in those recordings that you just heard. We have not heard back. Joining me now is the reporter who obtained those tapes, NPR's Tim Mack. His new book is called Misfire: Inside the Downfall of the NRA. I wonder, Tim, if you're a dues paying, I'm not saying you are, but if someone is a dues paying member of the NRA and they hear that kind of talk from the leadership, wackos, hillbillies, idiots, how do they feel about that?
I imagine they're not feeling great about listening to those sounds. I mean, the NRA has always had an issue with some of its most passionate members also having more ideological views. But here you have, for the first time, you can kind of enter the room and hear what some of the executives and officials of this organization really think about those members behind closed doors.
Yeah, it's fascinating, really. Just clearly they thought no one would ever hear this. Can you tell us how the NRA is responding and also how NPR authenticated the tapes?
Yeah, so one of the ways we were able to authenticate the tapes were we checked with multiple sources about the identities of the tapes, as well as listening.
For the record, they still feel this level of disdain for the fucking working class American hillbillies, okay? It's like, it's rich motherfuckers in suits that literally just manipulate all of these fucking hogs. Remember that. At least I have the decency to call you a fucking hog straight to your goddamn face. These motherfuckers sell you shit and put on a fucking vest. A denim vest and come into your town and say, yee, brother, we love shooting guns, don't we? Come on. And they whip you up in a fucking frenzy. And you think like they're different. You think that they are, like you. They don't give a fuck about you. Go and kill all of yourself. You can kill everyone in your fucking neighborhood. They don't give a shit as long as it, impacts the bottom line of gun manufacturers in a positive way.
to publicly available audio to check against the sounds. And so and of course, we reached out to all the players on the tape as well as the NRA for a response.
They didn't deny that it was them.
We did not provide them with the original audio. We provided them with transcripts of the audio.
Okay, so I want to listen to, there's more, right? So let's listen to this. This is the internal deliberations about whether to cancel the NRA convention in the wake of Columbine.
I got to tell you, we got to think this thing through, because if we tuck tail and run, we're going to be accepting responsibility for what happened out there.
That's one very good argument, Jim. On the other side, if you don't appear to be deferential in honoring the dead, you end up being a tremendous head who wouldn't tuck tail and run.
What actually strikes me here, having covered now school shootings, is that back then there was actually a debate.
Bro, they didn't know. They didn't know that school shootings were so good for gun sales. That's the thing. When they found out, this is how you make even more money. You know, this is before they realize this is the kind of their bread and butter. They're super active in this in situations like this. For that reason now, oh, the Democrats are coming after your guns. Dude, guys. So all of my international watchers that are tuning in right now, trying to comprehend what the fuck is going on in America. Oh my God, another mass shooting that happened. Let me describe something to you. Under the wonderful leadership of Donald J. Trump, when the Parkland school shooting happened in Florida, what kind of legislation was pushed through in the state of Florida, you think? Was it gun control? Was it, I don't know, banning a specific kind of like high-powered assault, long-barrel assault rifle? Was it even a conversation that revolved around gun control at all? Like, maybe lowering the amount of guns on the streets? Of course not. The only measure that passed in the state of Florida in the aftermath of the Parkland shooting was a pilot program that actually gave teachers a financial incentive in the tune of $500 so that they would arm themselves and learn how to fucking use guns. They armed the teachers after Parkland. At a time when you literally cannot even fucking get money to pay for school supplies. When teachers in the state of Florida were paying out of pocket for school supplies, Florida found a way to give them $500 extra immediately, as long as they went and purchased a gun. That's America. The only fucking place where the problem is made worse.
Well, what's so interesting about this tape is you can see in real time the NRA's leadership making these decisions and trying to figure out what their strategy is going to be after Columbine. And that has echoes for years and years to come in the other shootings that happen. What you hear in these tapes and what you read in my book Misfire is what really happened behind the scenes in NRA headquarters as the decline of the NRA begins.
Yeah, and your book is fascinating, by the way. I also want to listen to something else from these tapes where they're talking about the potential for a victims fund in the wake of Columbine.
Is there something concrete that we can offer, not because guns are responsible, but because we care about these people? Is there anything, does that look crass or...
like a victims fund, or
we create a victim fund and we give the victim $1 million or something like that. Does that look bad, or does it look?
Well, I mean, that can be twisted too. I mean, why are you giving money? You feel responsible?
No, well, you're true. It can be twisted, but we feel sympathetic and respectful.
You mentioned this sets the scene for how the NRA deals with things in the wake of these mass shootings for years to come. In the end, the NRA really turns away from any sort of balanced approach, or even really considering a balanced approach as we go into Sandy Hook and other shootings.
Yeah, you hear them talking about a victims fund here. That's certainly not the approach they end up taking. It's a softer tone, but they end up going with a more defiant one in which they want to make sure that they don't even have the appearance of responsibility for anything related to these shootings. So they feel that if they were to cancel their convention or make some concession in some way,
This CNN video is from November 10th, 2021.
That they'll be admitting some sort of complicity in shootings like this. So they end up pushing a much harder line, one in which they...
Teachers having guns sounds like a necessary bandage for the time being if we can't get real gun control. No, dude, you are so fucking dumb and American. It's awesome. You're literally just the average American dumbass, dude. What necessary bandage, you fucking idiot? Even in Parkland, there was literally a cop there. He didn't do shit. It's not a Band-Aid. It makes it... No, it's like chopping off your arm because you got a little boo-boo on your finger, okay? That's what that is. How fucking demented are Americans, dude? How fucking insane are Americans? Now I feel bad because he has a cute fucking PFP. God damn it. There's an abundance of gun crime. Let's add more.
Criticize the media and say, hey, if you're discussing gun legislation after a shooting, that's an inappropriate politicization of the issue. This becomes a big pattern in the years to come.
And again, the NRA spokesperson, you provided transcripts, and their response was?
Their response was that they thought that this was a quote-unquote hit piece.
It's their words, I will say, Tim, and I really appreciate you sharing them with us. Tim.
Mystery tapes of us being fucking animals. Damn, the menopause mood swings are hitting you hard now? Yeah, dude, I have menopause. You know why I have menopause? Because I fuck your mom who has menopause. And it just like fucking, I guess I have menopause too now because of her. Idiot. Yeah, I got menopause through osmosis, okay? We covered the NRA thing. Okay, hold on. All right, let's get back into
additional
what...
people that they have some questions about. David.
You heard Thomas tracking this in
Going back
Washington.
to-
We are
going
set to
back
hear from
to
authorities
ABC
there
News.
on the ground in Uvalde. Their first time before the cameras addressing what's played out this afternoon. Let's listen.
Good afternoon. As she mentioned, I'm going to make a statement, and at this point, we won't take any questions. We will give you a time when we'll be addressing the media soon. At approximately 11:32 a.m. this morning, there was a mass casualty incident at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. The school has children that are in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. I can confirm right now that we have several injuries, adults and students, and we do have some deaths. The suspect is deceased at this point. DPS is assisting with the investigation. And at this point, the investigation is leading to tell us that the suspect did act alone during this heinous crime. Families are being notified, and we are providing services to them as the district should. As far as the rest of the district is concerned, safety measures were taken to make sure that we had a safe release for the rest of the district.
Am I crazy, or do they not normally show like a mass shooter's face this much?
The privacy of the family. It is still being worked on.
They always do?
And again, we'll notify the parents and the families as soon as we have some news for them.
They didn't used to do that. They showed the fucking white guy in Buffalo a lot too. I don't know. I feel like I thought that there was like a media consensus on it where they wouldn't really show the shooter in order to like stop copycats or whatever from, doing it. Republicans have blood on their hands. Gun culture and NRA are bad, but the primary obstacles of passing gun legislation in America today are two members of the Democratic Party and a media that valorizes bipartisan governance when it's not mourning these shootings. Oh, fuck yeah. Osita spitting hot fire once again. I'm sure people will yell at him for that. He's over 18, so it's fair game. They can release the kid's shooter's name and face. Oh. That's right. 54 votes, including a few GOP. Didn't matter. You need 60, unless you get rid of the filibuster, which Manchin opposes putatively because it prevents bipartisan governance. Difficult to believe he's too stupid to note the contradiction. Isn't that just aestheticism? Not showing the shooter's face doesn't change the underlying issues of why shooting happens. I'm not making a statement about it one way or the other. It's something that I have noticed and I asked a question on. Maybe I'm not right. You know what I mean? Okay, here is Senator Murphy giving an emotional speech once again.
What are we doing? Why do you spend all this time running for the United States Senate? Why do you go through all the hassle of getting this job, of putting yourself in a position of authority? If your answer is that as this slaughter increases, as our kids run for their lives, we do nothing. What are we doing? Why are you here? If not to solve a problem as this. This isn't inevitable. These kids weren't unlucky. This only happens in this country and nowhere else. Nowhere else do little kids go to school thinking that they might be shot that day. Nowhere else do parents have to talk to their kids, as I have had to do, about why they got locked into a bathroom and told to be quiet for 5 minutes just in case a bad man entered that building. Nowhere else does that happen except here in the United States of America.
Greatest
and
country
it is
on
a
earth,
choice.
baby. Wealthiest nation on
It is
earth, baby.
our choice to let it continue.
Nothing's going to change.
What are we doing? In Sandy Hook Elementary School, after those kids came back into those classrooms, they had to adopt a practice in which there would be a safe word that the kids would say if they started to get thoughts in their brain about what they saw that day. If they started to get nightmares during the day, reliving stepping over their classmates' bodies as they tried to flee the school. In one classroom, that word was monkey. And over and over and over through the day, kids would stand up and yell, monkey. And a teacher or a paraprofessional would have to go over to that kid, take them out of the classroom, talk to them about what they had seen, work them through their issues. Sandy Hook will never, ever be the same. This community in Texas will never, ever be the same. Why? Why are we here? If not to try to make sure that fewer schools and fewer communities go through what Sandy Hook has gone through.
Bro, he's right. But remember the NRA video I showed you? For those of you who are just tuning in, understand that NRA video I just showed you about how they were dealing with this in the aftermath of the first time this like became a big a matter of like large public consciousness changing news. They still had that fucking convention, and while he's spitting on the floor of the Senate, there are Republican senators like Ted Cruz from Texas that is going to appear at an NRA convention in Texas, the largest one of the year, literally on Friday, this Friday. Donald Trump, Dan Crenshaw. They are going to be at the NRA convention on Friday in Texas.
What Uvalde is going through.
And as we're having this conversation, there are real PR people that are working actively at the NRA and in numerous other think tanks that work for the Republican Party, trying to come up with the next way to deflect away the attention from guns to immigrants, probably, is what they're going to use, I assume. Or mental health. But, the shooter is brown, so probably immigrants. So remember that.
Our heart is breaking for these families. Every ounce of love and thoughts and prayers we can send, we are sending. But I'm here on this floor to beg, to literally get down on my hands and knees and beg my colleagues. Find a path forward here. Work with us to find a way to pass laws that make this less likely. I understand my Republican colleagues will not agree to everything that I may support, but there is a common denominator that we can find.
Nope.
There is a place where we can achieve agreement that may not guarantee that America never, ever again sees.
You know how we would never need this? Common sense and, shared sense of responsibility. If we abolish the filibuster. I'm just saying. Having to be at the whims of the Republican Party, unless you have a 60-person supermajority in the Senate, a filibuster-proof majority in the Senate, is psychotic. It's not happening. And of course, we won't even have the 50 because Joe Manchin is a gun nut. Joe Manchin in the Democratic Party famously shot a cap and trade bill with a gun. With a rifle. Here, this is Joe Manchin. He also shot Obamacare with a rifle. Where is it? Hold on. The first video released Friday. Focus on Manchin's.
I was born and raised in Farmington, West Virginia, and this is what I'm fighting for. A strong military, securing our borders, and keeping our promises to our veterans and our miners. Skills and technical training to create good-paying jobs, decent, affordable.
Wait, this is not the right one.
And the Second Amendment, always. I approve this message because I'll work with both parties and any president who wants to get things done for the people of West Virginia.
Unless.
That's me, shooting the cap and trade bill, because it was bad for West Virginia. Hey, I haven't changed. I might be a few years older, but I'll still take on anyone that messes with West Virginia. Now the threat is Patrick Morrissey's lawsuit to take away health care from people with pre-existing conditions. He is just dead wrong, and that ain't going to happen. I'm Joe Manchin, and I approve this message because for me, it's all about West Virginia.
Ted Cruz already workshopping his NRA speech. Cruz on new gun laws. Inevitably, when there's a murderer of this kind, you see politicians try to politicize it. You see Democrats and a lot of folks in the media whose immediate solution is to try to restrict the constitutional rights of law-abiding citizens. Yeah. That's a repeat, bro. He's not even doing something new this time. He's just saying like, oh man, they're just, they're politicizing this tragedy. Dog, it's a political issue. It's literally a political issue. What is this? These guys have fucking gamer brain, dude. It's like, only there's two genders, dude. There's a normal default men in a video game and then political. Everything that is not like, everything that the Republicans are not already like established as like the clear winners is political. How do we get here? The most psychotic bullshit. Do constituents buy this stuff? Of course they do, because as I described already, Americans associate like a big part of their personality with their commodity consumption choices, and guns are a really important commodity. Guns are a really, really important cultural signifier for so many people. It's like all their fucking, it's everything they believe in. PP enabled in Texas so hard that you're going to soon see technicals on 150. Yeah, I mean, Internet Hippo is correct. Can't believe I'm saying that. It's wrong to politicize tragedy by trying to address one of its main causes. It's true.
He's a mass shooting that may not overnight cut in half the number of murders that happen in America. It will not solve the problem of American.
No, they're not going to say he's mentally ill. They're going to say he's Mexican. The shooter was brown. They're going to say he's Mexican, and this is a border town. There's a border crossing town for undocumented migrants. And they're going to say this is why we need to stop undocumented migrants. And then because of that, more fucking brown people are going to get murdered in the hands of like psychos. Like literally.
And our ability to bring information forward.
They're not going to say mental health. Mental health is only a fucking defense mechanism when the shooter is white, even though mental health is part of the reason, of course. Yeah, obviously, like no one who has like full-blown sanity is going to commit a fucking act of, mass shooting.
To watch this case, the pieces of this very early still come together. Brad, thank you for what has become a familiar pattern.
And by the way, mental health is simply a deflection because they never actually pose solutions to address mental health. If you wanted to solve a problem with mental health in this country, you would at least like have some form of Medicare for all. And allow people to be able to get free mental health therapy and treatment.
Elementary school where he then shot and killed 14 children and a teacher there as well. I want to bring in Isaias Melendez, an eyewitness at the scene. And Isaias, first of all, I'm sorry that you have to join us under such horrific circumstances. Can you tell us what you saw, what you heard, and where you are?
Yeah, well, it was just this morning I was sitting with my friend and we were just hanging out at his house, and I got a call from my mom asking if I heard the gunshots because we do live in the same area as the school. And I said no. And as we were on the phone, we could just hear more gunshots. And then she walked outside and got in the car to go see what was going on because, I wasn't home. And there was cops driving, so many cops, like speeding towards the school. And she told me to go see what was going on at the school. And, I told my friend if he wanted to go check it out. He said, yeah. So we went to go check it out. And that's whenever the Border Patrols, there was just any type of law enforcement just there trying to see what was going on, trying to help out. Everybody just going crazy, parents running up and down, and the helicopter hovering over the school. And we heard the gunshots, and they were saying that the shooter was actually shooting out the window and having to shoot out with the cops broad daylight in front of our eyes. Parents going crazy because children were scared and they were running out of the school.
You could actually see some of the children from the other classrooms running from the school?
Yeah, running out of the school.
And Isaias, what else can you tell us about the community? I know it's a small town. I'm sure most families are familiar with everyone else who lives there, a community that sort of relies on one another, depends on one another.
Yeah, a very small community. I mean, every single kid that got shot, there's some kind of relation. I know every single one. Either it's some of my friends or some of my friends' cousins, or, I mean, actually 2 of the kids that got shot were 2 of my girlfriend's cousins.
And without naming any names, we certainly don't want to do that on the air here. We want to wait for law enforcement to do that because they have the painful task of notifying the family. So we don't want names on the air, certainly. But can you tell us anything more about what age range we believe that some of these victims are? What grade the classroom was or classrooms that were targeted?
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure on that.
And what can you tell us about help for these parents that you described running to and from the scene? help with them trying to find their loved ones? Were you able to see if any of those parents were in fact helped, consoled? Are they getting what they need?
No, you could just see the fear in their eyes. I mean, we were all told to step back. I mean, we didn't know what was going on, or we were just all told to step back. And I mean, as a parent, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. You're going to put your life in jeopardy for your kid.
Why don't you talk about the fact that California legislature decided to kill a bill for Medicare for all? Because I did talk about it. Why are you bringing it up right now? What's wrong with you, dude? The Dem Party controlled California didn't even want to put a bill for Medicare for all. Why don't you talk about that? What's wrong with you? Are you fucking brain diseased? Are you mentally ill? That's your coverage here? Like, I have talked about it.
Their own loved ones waiting for word from authorities.
Dude, this is the issue with debate perverts, okay? Though I'm only going to address it right now. Debate perverts do not care about like 14 dead children. Debate perverts do not care about any of the actual issues that they claim to care about. The only reason why the only thing that debate perverts care about is like functionally winning a debate. That's it. And that's why I despise them. I think they're horrible monsters, and I fucking ban them from my community regularly. I believe that even a fucking racist person can actually redeem themselves, can learn not to be racist, can unlearn white supremacist values that they were basically born into from their families, from their social conditioning. But debate perverts have decided full well that this is going to be their entire personality, which is why I never unban them, okay?
They cannot find at the Civic Center, where evacuations were happening, at the hospitals nearby and in San Antonio. The children's ages that are still missing are 10 years old, which puts them right around 4th grade. Now, again, school district officials are not releasing a whole lot of information at this time, but this is information we are getting directly from parents. These are parents we saw running to the school to try and find their kids. One father I spoke with, as you just mentioned, not more than about 15 minutes ago, stopped me in the street, and he asked me if I knew where the funeral home was. That funeral home is about 4 blocks away from us down this street. As you can see, there is a heavy, heavy law enforcement presence here right now. We have a Department of troopers, DPS here on site, local law enforcement as well, Border Patrol agents. And for those of you that might be wondering why there might be a heavy Border Patrol agent presence, that's because we're not too far from the border. I've spoken with the mayor's office as well. He tells us right now this is a very flexible and fluid situation. But one thing he could tell us was this is a community that is very strong, very connected, a community of farmers and ranchers.
You might find some fucking like DACA recipients or something that you could arrest.
This town has less than 20,000 people in it. So this is an extremely, extremely difficult situation for them. A lot of these family members are lingering right behind us. They are waiting to hear any information they can from not just law enforcement, but even school district officials. Just about a minute or two ago, we did see FBI SWAT vehicles go right through here, larger vehicles than what we are normally used to seeing. A lot of times when these vehicles come on site, it is for 2 reasons. One, to try and check the location for any sort of explosive devices that may have been taken on by the suspect. That is not the case in this situation. These vehicles look like vehicles that will be used to try and take victims out of the school. Again, David, we're very cautious in the information that we're releasing right now because, as we heard just a bit ago, both the governor, law enforcement, and school district officials are being very limited in what they're telling us, and that is because they want to make sure they get in contact with all of the parents before giving us that info. David?
Maria Villarreal, we appreciate your reporting, and we know as a mom yourself, it's not easy arriving at the scene of these awful, awful shootings and having to interact with family members, just as you simply report out the story and the pain that you describe from that father. We could all feel in your description. So, Maria, we'll come back to you. Thank you. Thank you for that. Lee Waldman is with KSAT, our ABC station that covers that region. And Lee, thank you as well for joining us this afternoon. And what more can you tell us about, obviously, a very early investigation at this point?
We just got out of the Civic Center that's behind me. This was initially just a reunification center. Parents were told that their students were evacuated into this center here and were told to wait until all the students were accounted for and then they could be picked up here. Unfortunately, what we're seeing now here at the Civic Center is there's families that are getting some of the worst news of their life, and you'll see families passing behind me, even coming this other way as they're going inside to learn more about this tragedy that happened here. We did just get a briefing from the Uvalde Police Department from Pete Arredondo. He's the police chief here, and he couldn't give us a whole lot of information. Most of our information actually coming from Governor Greg Abbott, but he said this is a school filled with 2nd to 4th graders, and they confirmed there were deaths, they confirmed there were injuries, and they said they're working on notifying all of those families. And we know that's a lot of what's happening in a lot of these rooms in the Civic Center here behind us. We see families coming out, holding on to each other and crying because they're getting news that they never anticipated they would get after dropping off their children at school today. They fully anticipated bringing them back home, and even that teacher
Dude, what
who
the
we
fuck
have learned
is
at
this?
this point who has passed.
This is not confirmed.
She anticipated coming home from work today, and that's not going to happen because of the act of just one person. So we're here. We know that there's going to be an additional press conference happening soon where we're able to ask some questions, get additional details about what happened at the school today. We know that the shooting started. The first call came in around 11:32 this morning. We're hearing that the shooter was involved and maybe possibly killing his grandmother before he went to this elementary school. There's still a lot of law enforcement in this area, so we're just waiting for that additional press conference where we're able to ask more questions to school officials, also to law enforcement officials. But you can really feel the sadness as you step inside that Civic Center as families just hold on to each other and try to hold themselves together after something like this.
Lee Waldman, KSAT, and Lee, we really do appreciate your reporting right outside the Civic Center there in Uvalde. And Lee, thank you. Lee reporting on the pain from parents.
I saw those DMs, okay? I saw those DMs on possibly the shooter DMing someone, like a random girl or something. I don't know. It's not confirmed. I'm not going to, it is very likely to be fake. Even if it's real, we don't know anything about it. Please stop. It's 100% real. Dude, you don't know that. You don't know that. You don't know that. Stop. Stop jumping on unconfirmed shit on a breaking news story. Part of the reason why I half the time I fucking cover this shit when it's during breaking news is because there's so much like misinformation flying around.
Children repeatedly said to Maria, among the other questions they were asking her about where to find this information, saying we're just looking for information on our 10-year-old. That was the age that continued to be asked about with Maria right there on the scene, which just is heartbreaking to wrap your head around. But again, in America, 14 children shot and killed.
What do you mean, bro? Did he fucking
Rob
post his own DMs to a random girl's story on his own Instagram? Is that what you're trying to say? He tagged the girl in a story? Oh, because he did tag the girl in a story, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Do you think there's anything else average people can do about it to help change shit? On this issue, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. More lighthearted story when you're done covering this? Okay.
your local news now. Until then, I'm David Muir in New York. Good day.
Look, without additional confirmation, just because a shooter, the possible Instagram account of the shooter, added some random Instagram account, and then that random Instagram account decided to fucking post like the DMs or whatever, doesn't mean that it's like fully confirmed. Before there's full confirmation, I'm not gonna fucking use that as a source.
I also was talking to some of the people that he shot at after he got out of the car. People thought that he was in trouble, and so they jumped out to help him, and he came out of his vehicle and started shooting at them. After the law enforcement came in, they locked down the school really quickly, and they started evacuating children out through breaking windows and pulling children out through the windows and getting them to safety. It was amazing how fast law enforcement responded. They were here in practically no time. They locked down the school and started pulling the children out as quickly as they could. It was great to see them acting that fast.
Suspect is not in custody. He's dead. The suspect is not in custody. He's dead. He shot at cops, and the cops killed him. Pay close attention to how quickly the media shifts their messaging from potential white supremacy to gun control after learning the last name of the shooter. If you're attempting to politicize the senseless murder of 24 innocent children right now, you should probably stop. Pray in the families of the students in the community. Oh my God, he literally did exactly that. He noticed that the shooter was like, he noticed the shooter had a Hispanic name and immediately was like, well, what's up? I mean, there is no perfect sequence of events. There's no perfect sequence of events of like the conservative mindset, the alpha brain that conservatives hold on to. Than this, okay? He's just a fucking grifter, dude. It's perfect. He doesn't give a shit. He's just gonna use whatever talking point he can to advance the conservative agenda that'll get him the most retweets. It's fucking dope. It's great. Thank you, Charlie Kirk. Wonderful. Took like potential white supremacy. Motherfuckers literally will go out there and be like, I want to kill black people, and write it in their fucking manifesto. And then people will still be like, I don't know. Potential white supremacy? Potential? What's the potential? He literally fucking wrote about it. That's not a potential. We don't know what the shooter's reason was this time. But what do you mean potential? Oh, fuck, I forgot to run the ad break again. I'm running it now at the top of the hour. There's a 60-second ad break. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe. You can do that for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. Okay, by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. Get one free Prime subscription. Guy had "here's your reparations" on his gun, but they're questioning it. Yeah, literally fucking 14 words. Like, he had the N-word. He had the N-word on the gun and the number 14. I mean, there's no... Dude, he went to Buffalo specifically because he wanted to find the highest density of black people. It's crazy. It's crazy that these people are so fucking disingenuous that they can make it seem like that was, you know, not 100% certainty there. Like, shut the fuck up, dude. It's your entire worldview. Here's the woman ad break now. Sorry. What does the number 14 mean? 14 is a little like fucking nod that Nazis, white supremacists give to one another. It is about the 14 words, okay? We must secure meaningful existence for our white children or something like that. Basically, it's just it's a dog whistle. The 14 words. Just Google the 14 words and you'll know what it is. '88 is 88. It means Heil Hitler. If you see 1488, that's where it's coming from. He's describing the consensus conservative position. Hire ex-cops to arm up guard schools. Theory being that this would dissuade, prevent school shooters, potential shooters.
Individuals, even in rural communities. Every sheriff's office in the state of Georgia, I think, has reserve sheriff's units. These are individuals who are unpaid volunteers who would be happy to volunteer their time to go safeguard schools when it's needed. Put the call out, and individuals, in my experience, will step up and meet the call. They will do it for free. Sometimes it doesn't take money to solve problems. It takes human beings with skills.
They need to put either police or military in schools. I'll happily pay more in taxes. That's ridiculous. We already have cops at schools. We had cops at Parkland. We had a cop at Parkland, and he didn't do shit. No, real issue is structural. We need to take better care of mental health. But more importantly than that, we need to make it as hard as possible to actually fucking allow people to go and purchase a weapon. Okay? The idea that we need to put more fucking guns in schools is not the adequate solution. Parkland literally had an armed police officer on scene, and he didn't do anything. And the worst part about having cops in schools is that they beat the shit out of the fucking students. And they literally there's a concept called school to prison pipeline. Police presence in schools is actually really damaging the mental health, specifically of black children that they regularly fucking mistreat and treat like full-blown adults.
Sets who are willing to volunteer their time.
And people saying like, ex-police officers working on the scene will save people is a ridiculous take, because the security guy at the Buffalo supermarket who had a gun was an ex-cop and he got killed. So like the good guy with a gun always saves the situation take is really stupid, especially when like cops are supposed to be the quote unquote good guys, right? They're supposed to be the good guys. They're the best guys. They're the most trained. Cops in the New York Police Department have a 17% hit rate in active shooting situations. 17%. These guys who get training to shoot when they're under fire all the time have a 17% hit rate. You think that more guns is good in that situation? Motherfuckers are out here like stormtroopers, dude. Yeah, they're worse than me, dude. They're literally worse than me, like, when I fucking play. Yeah, the ex-cop who was a security officer in Buffalo actually ended up shooting the shooter, but the shooter had body armor. And it dinged him. And then he turned around and killed the ex-cop security officer.
They are out there and we should use them.
All right. Thank you very much, Phil Holloway. He sure gave us a lot to think about, Judge.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. A lot to think about, dude.
For free. Sometimes it doesn't take money to solve problems. It takes human beings with skill sets who are willing to volunteer their time. They are out there and we should use them.
All right. Thank you very much, Phil Holloway. He sure gave us a lot to think about, Judge.
Yeah, he did. And I think the idea of not just hardening the perimeter, but having someone who is in a position to protect the children. I mean, these children they're babies. They really are babies. And I think that you've got a lot of people now, retired cops, retired sheriffs, who'd be more than happy to protect kids. I think right now, and I don't want to get into the politics of it, but we've got to make sure that people understand, especially the schools. And
it's not the guns that are the problem. Let's not get to the politics of it, but also guns are not the problem, okay? I am not being paid by the NRA as a speaker, as I get $125,000 in speaker fees over the course of multiple seminars that I will be attending. That to say this, I'm saying this, but guns are not the problem.
And the teachers that we need this. It is a crazy world today. It's very different than it was 5 years ago.
Actually, we need more guns. Guns are not the problem. Guns would be the only solution in the situation.
Well, we need to do something about it. And I think this is one of the only ways is to actually protect the school and the children.
Individuals, even in rural communities. Every sheriff's office in the state of Georgia, I think, has reserve sheriff's units.
Mass shooting, thoughts and prayers, Facebook debates. Everyone forgets Congress does nothing. Crickets chirping, mass shootings. Yeah, I mean, that is how it works, yes. Before trolls start with a gun-free zone, in 2021, the Uvalde County Sheriff's Office stationed armed deputies at district schools citing parental concerns over immigration issues in the area. In 2018, 2 Uvalde teens were arrested for planning a school mass shooting. AP update. Police say shooter that prompted elementary school lockdown is... wait, what? I thought he was dead. No, now it says gunman dead. No. They changed it. It's from 4 hours ago. See, that's what breaking news. There's a problem with fucking breaking news that the tweet itself is old, but the story has been updated. Yeah. They thought that he was in custody back then, but... What? Hillary Clinton. Thoughts and prayers are not enough. After years of nothing else, we're becoming a nation of anguish screams. We simply need legislatures willing to stop the scourge of gun violence in America that is murdering our children. I just like... Dude, honestly... I think at this point it's just like... everyone's like playing a role. You know what I mean? Everyone's just playing their role. And Hillary Clinton is playing her role. This is they're just repeating. This is from the earlier coverage from earlier in the day, by the way. That's basically what they're repeating. But everyone has a role to play in this situation, and they're just repeating the fucking talking points that they have repeated time and time again at this everyone kind of knows that you just gotta play the song and dance at this point. Like, even myself included, I give coverage, I offer analysis, I try to describe to you that, like, these things are going to happen, and they start happening immediately. The shooter at Robb Elementary School in Texas was exchanging fire with the Border Patrol before entering the school. He was an illegal alien wanted for murder from El Salvador. This is not real. Like, this is not real at all. This motherfucker has no idea what this what happened. Rumors are saying it was an illegal alien. Like, that's not true. But it won't stop dumbasses from repeating it. It won't stop dumbasses from liking it, right? Just like Code of Vets, I called this earlier, and immediately this became like a thing. Pray for the victims' families and community. The killer was Salvador Ramos, 18 years old. Did he cross the border illegally? Our nation has a serious national security crisis evolving. God help us.